right?
Blech.
I know.
Blech.
Get it out.
Get that poison out.
There's nothing even to get out. That's the problem. It's just, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Here's one of the things growing up that adults just don't tell you about. And I have two issues to pick with you because you were the adult in my life and you just let your child walk into adulthood very ignorantly.
I'm going to say this right now. You have another parent.
I don't put this on him. I put this on you.
Okay.
He and I don't have a podcast together.
Okay.
Nobody tells you in high school
Yeah.
that, hey, this acne thing, that's going to stick around for the rest of life. That doesn't go away once you turn 18 and you get accepted into college or when you get your diploma and you head into the workforce. That stuff stays forever. But you make it feel like, oh, well, it's just teenage hormones.
I will tell you this, Kevin. I mean, I'm sure I said something because I can remember
Nope.
literally thinking in high school when I turned 18, first it was 18, right? When I turn 18, I will have the most gorgeous skin in the world because that's what happens.
Sure.
Then it was probably 21 and then 25 and then 30 and then 45. And I said a couple of years ago, I went to the doctor and I said, I'm 60 freaking something.
Yeah.
I'm towards the close of my life. When can my skin, now I'm not talking about the wrinkles and
Right.
the creases and the sagging.
Yep.
I'm just talking about that random awful pimple that shows up from time to time. So I'm just telling you, I got no good advice except it lasts.
Now, I know some people are going to really take us to task because you have great skin. I, fortunately, have great skin, but we are not immune to the occasional blemish. But that almost makes it worse when you're like, oh, I've just had like 5 great skin days in a row. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking tea. I'm eating clean. I've avoided sugars. I take showers after I sweat, blah, 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 blah. And then just to torture you, to remind you that you're human and fallible, this gross, red, splotchy, whitehead thing just appears out of nowhere. Like it just decided today is the day I'm going to ruin it for you. And I don't care that you're 36 years old.
I'm going to say this on behalf of all the people that really do have serious skin problems.
Yeah.
They'd love to have your problem. So let's be grateful and let's not compare that.
Well, I'm not comparing it. It's my own life, right?
Yeah.
It's original and unique only to me. And so there is something to be said for the people who just know in the morning they're going to wake up and have acne. Like that sucks, but you can anticipate that. For me, it's like this false sense of security. Like I made it. I achieved whatever I needed to achieve to not have it anymore. And life's like, just kidding, slap across the face with a greasy hand. Now you're going to have acne in a couple days.
So I'll tell you 2 stories. I used to think this all the time. I knew when I was thinking it was a fantasy,
Yep.
right? I used to think, okay, what is the answer? Because again, I felt like I ate clean. I took good, I use a different wash rag every single day, a clean wash rag to wash my face every single day. Yes, I have a stack of 48 white washcloths in my bathroom. But I can remember when I was young, I thought, I think the answer to this is to just get one really big, bad pimple. And that if you squeeze it, all of the poison will come out forever.
You thought your skin would take all of the potential acne,
Yes.
move
yes.
it to one place,
Yep.
and that you could take care of it in one big squeeze.
Dr. Pimple Popper, for sure.
Find the fault in that logic.
Yeah, exactly. It never came. It never worked. Okay. But I will tell you a horrible story. So I think when we all get a pimple, some people squeeze their pimples, some people don't. But whatever they do,
What are you?
it depends on how showing it is. I mean, if it were like a giant whitehead, I'd probably squeeze it.
Squeeze away.
Yeah.
Deep crevasse, painful throbbing. You got to let that
You got to
baby
let
stay.
that work its way out. But no matter what it is, I think we do, at least women for sure, will make up that thing. And do you know what I mean? Like, we'll
course.
put all sorts
Contour
of stuff on
it, shade it,
right?
yeah.
Because we go out to the day going, we may as well put a sign right here. I don't have a giant pimple that's actually speaking to you
That has
on my face.
9 layers of makeup on it that makes my forehead 4 inches further out
Exactly.
than it normally is.
Do guys think the same thing? Without the makeup?
We're
maybe?
not actively putting makeup on.
Okay. So I was in an office where I was working at a client's office, and there's a girl there that has porcelain gorgeous skin. I mean, really, really beautiful skin. And she had like that, that, and in a way it is worse when it's on this, I'm just going to say.
Granite.
Yes. I mean, it is like this beautiful, clean slate painting.
Pores
right?
no bigger than a pinhead type thing.
And an enormous pimple on the end of her nose. Of course, we all see it. I mean, she had makeup, but most of us are decent human beings, and we just don't look at it or we talk to her.
You're going cross-eyed as you stare at her because it's so close to your face.
The CEO of the company walks by and says, "Ooh, don't squeeze that."
Oh my God.
It was awful. I mean, the fact that it
Did
was
she just run away crying?
No. I mean, she ended up leaving later, and I put that on the list of one of the things that did it for her.
For sure.
For sure.
It's it really is just one of life's reminders that life is painful.
And we're not in control.
Nope.
And not at all.
The thing that I love about skincare as well is you can be judged on either side. You're washing your skin too much. You're not washing it enough. You're using something that's too harsh. You're using something that's too light. You've probably been drinking too much water, so it's flushing all the toxins out. You haven't been drinking enough water. There is literally no middle ground for what you do because it's just going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, just like live your best life, eat and drink what you want, and acknowledge that regardless of any of it, it's coming for you.
It's coming for you, no matter what your age.
That's the idea.
No matter what your age.
The idea that like at 16, I would have to grapple with the fact that at 75, I could still be dealing with breakouts while I'm in my walker or somebody's pushing me in the wheelchair.
And your little grandchild says, "Grandpa, what's that?"
Right. Or God forbid, I have a huge white head on my nose and I trip and fall and have to press my life alert button. And then the EMTs are going to come and say, does he need help getting back up or squeezing that thing? What caused his issue? Okay, let's start the podcast.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev pod. Across from me, staring right at me with unwavering skepticism, is my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
And I am her son, Kev, who is simply trying to live a drama-free life, but America won't let me. And this is our podcast, Snow. We woke up to 4 or 5 inches of snow this morning.
4 or 5 inches. I woke up in the middle of the night. I told you I got so cold. I woke up in the middle of the night. I think it was about 2:30, and the roof was covered like thick, and it was still coming down. And I thought, oh no, here we go. And it's beautiful out right now.
For sure.
But probably, I don't know, like that. Is that 5 inches? I don't know.
I don't. So you're putting your hand up in front of your face. Again, the majority of people who consume us
But the camera,
are
for those
on audio.
For those three of you, I think it's about 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah, so you just held up a giant C in front of your face for cold and for potentially
Okay,
5
let's
minutes.
do it this way. I'm holding up my
Put your
iPhone.
phone away. We
No,
put this on the internet.
It's not as
I don't
high.
know how many times I can tell you that you leave us vulnerable to somebody who has nefarious ideas. Keep your phone off screen,
Just saying.
lady. Snow. You and I had this conversation earlier. This feels extremely early for snow, even though we have had the longest Indian summer. On Thursday, it was 77 degrees here. Friday hit, the jet stream just did whatever the jet stream did, brought in tons of cold weather, and then, 2 hours later, we're waking up to 5 inches of snow. If that is not northern Nevada weather, I do not know what is.
We have some friends in from out of town, and Thursday was glorious. Leaves still on the trees. I mean, color everywhere. The bluest skies you've ever seen.
Yep.
And then Friday, we walked out, and I took another picture of the trees in the front of the house because no leaves had fallen, and then leaves were starting to fall.
The wind came.
We went up to Lake Tahoe. you could still go outside. It was sunny. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And then yesterday, without you, we went up to Truckee. And I want to tell you, we held on for our lives between the wind and the bluster. And I mean, it was freezing. I think it was, 34 degrees when we got up there. And then you saw the wind coming in last night, and I knew it was all over,
Yeah. Fun side note, we do have friends in town.
Yeah.
They are visiting Northern Nevada for the first time, and they're enjoying this weather because where they're from is typically warmer or still warm right now. And they decided today, their last day in town, that they wanted to go hiking. Now, if you can remember back 2 minutes ago, we just said that it snowed 5 inches here.
Down where we are.
So they took it upon themselves to say, hey, we found a trailhead. We know exactly where the trailhead is. It's still within city limits. It's about an hour hike to a cute little waterfall.
In good weather.
And with no snow on the ground. And we said, okay, but there's snow on the ground.
Right.
And they said, yeah, thanks. So at some point, we may have to abandon this podcast to go rescue our friends. Our cell phones are on, though they're silent. And if you receive some type of 911 text from them, we have to drop what we're doing and go do our best medevac to find them. When I say we, I say me, because you have a boot on and there's no effing way you're going to be able to traverse that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we might just let our friends die.
You and search and rescue have to go.
By me and search and rescue, I mean, I'll call 911 for them.
They texted me. They told me the trail they were going to.
Yep.
And one of them does seem like a hiker. The other one, not so much, I'm going to say. And if she's listening to this, I apologize.
Sure.
But I said, this is not like a well-worn path. This is not a paved trail.
No.
This is not tons of signs. And I mean, this is like people know where to go. I mean, in the summertime, you would run into people on the trail.
The trail in and of itself is no big deal when the weather is fine.
Right. But I said, there's snow, and just the trailhead is at a higher elevation than we are right now.
Correct.
And then they climb. And she's like, no big deal. I mean, so maybe I don't know their power and what they can do.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the other side and just say they have no idea what they're experiencing.
And did they bring all the right clothes?
How could you?
I wanted to check them. I wanted to say, and she goes, oh, we're just going to get an Uber to take us to the trailhead. And I picked up the phone at that point. This were all text. And then I picked up the phone and I said, I know I sounded like their mother. And I said, listen, take your phone. Are your phones fully charged? Yes. I said, please periodically send us your location.
For sure.
I mean, just let us know, like, the last place before you fell down a ravine, right?
Totally.
So, and then here's the other thing I thought. I do think the bears have gone to bed. I mean, I'm pretty sure now the bears.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
the
they've
bears
been
were
active.
out on Wednesday.
Yeah, they've been active up until this week. So to think that they're now asleep 3 days later is a pretty big jump.
So I'm going to pray that the bears have gone to bed. But do you know who hasn't gone to bed?
Who's that?
The mountain lions.
Oh, yeah, and them big cats.
Yep, the big cats have not gone to bed. They're still hungry and they're still eating.
Yeah. That's concerning now that you mentioned that I just thought that they were going to have to traverse the elements, and now you're telling me they're going to have to also survive wildlife.
Yeah.
And these aren't large people. They're not scary people. They're not like if they puffed out their chest and tried to make themselves look bigger, they might get to half size of a normal person.
If we get their permission, we took a really cute picture of you and them up at the lake. Mm-hmm. If we get their permission, we'll post the picture.
Sure.
And people will see you look like a circus clown on stilts with them.
No. We look like two different species. Like, we know innately that we're humans, but like they're a subspecies of human when it comes to height. Like, we do not share the exact same genetic code.
Their height is a disability. Well, I mean, or yours could be a disability.
Oh, no, mine's for sure disability. Please reference last week's episode where I couldn't walk without blacking out.
If they would have fallen, it just would have been to the ground.
Yeah, of course. There's no worry. There's no worry if they trip and fall.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to recap, we might have friends that die during this podcast. And if that happens,
we need to rescue them.
Yeah. And if that happens, we will let you know in the most appropriate way possible by just hurrying out here and saying our friends are dying.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. I like that.
Deborah.
Yeah.
We are on about now our third week of leadership
Yeah.
We have talked about inspirational leaders. We have talked about humility in leadership. This week, we're going to talk about power in leadership and how it can be good and how it can be bad.
Let's do it.
Floor is yours.
So, as we all know, if somebody is the CEO of a business or the owner of a business, they probably are the supreme leader, if you will, and have the most power. And I know often, and I know when I first owned my first business, I think you need to work your way into that. I mean, most people don't understand that all the power lies with them when they're first put in a position of leadership, and they don't understand the weight of their power, meaning slight things can be perceived as not slight, right, when you're a leader. So we're going to talk about two things. I mean, there's more than this, but we're going to talk about two for this: power over, and then I'm going to say power with, okay? So power over would be, honestly, the kind of leaders that we really don't want. Do you know what I mean? It's the person who, the extreme end would be the person who really is looking to do damage. Do you know what I mean? Meaning like my way or the highway, and I don't care who I crush, and I don't care about your opinion, and, that kind of thing. And it can often be subversive and demeaning, and they're really, at its very worst, can be an attempt to unstabilize the people that are working for you,
Sure.
Right? And so we've all seen examples of that kind of power in, funny movies or terrible movies or whatever. Certainly we've seen it in leaderships and corporations. We've seen it in leadership and politics. Everyone knows what that looks and feels like. Everyone knows what it looks like to walk on eggshells with a leader, not want to go to work, not be able to speak freely. And I'm not talking about being disrespectful. I'm just saying speak freely. And the other thing about that is if we don't feel comfortable speaking freely, then we don't feel comfortable to share our ideas. And then, of course, collaboration is out the window, and we're not getting the best from everybody. We're literally doing what we think that person wants all the time, which isn't the best. That's not the best way to lead. Power over in its most, I'm going to say its best form, but it's never best, right? But in its best form would just be somebody probably that was completely unaware of themselves, were unable to practice self-reflection, wouldn't understand that their little comments, their little looks were taken very seriously, by staff and employees, right? And even that kind of power is the kind of thing where people look for other jobs and leave because they're not feeling valued, they're not feeling encouraged, they're not feeling like they're part of the team. Somebody called me this week, and it was a person who I helped secure a job 5 years ago. And she said, she was kind of letting me know, I think I might be leaving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Now I know the people she works for can be tough, really tough. And she said, I'm tired of walking on eggshells, always wondering where my foundation is. And she said there'd been an incident in the company, and I think the thing was actually her fault. And it was a minor mistake, but it was her fault. And one of the owners called everybody together and screamed at them all that he actually doesn't need any of them. And that was her final straw, right?
Nice and positive.
Nice and positive, exactly. And she said the terrible thing about doing that was, like, she was happy to take responsibility for the mistake. But, now we're going to call everybody together, and we're going to, it's like a spotlight drops down on her. So I think that's the kind of power where the person in power is really attempting to have power over everybody and control everybody. And people do that for years and years and years. I know we want to say in today's world that ultimately wouldn't work. We want to believe that somehow karma is going to come down and, push that person aside.
Sure.
But the truth of the matter is there are people that operate like that and function like that. And what we know is it's not the best working environment. On the other hand, there is power, what we call with or within. And the power with is, if I'm the leader, I know I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And I'm hiring people around me that are hopefully smarter than me in at least arenas where I don't, that are not my expertise, let's say. And so I know I have to collaborate with them. And as a team, we come up with the answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I trust them to do their jobs. And if somebody makes a mistake, it's just a mistake. I'm not talking about a mistake that is against the law or hurts somebody. I'm just talking about people make mistakes. It happens all the time. So that person is also wanting people to grow, wanting to share the power, wanting to empower people to do their best and be their best, wants their people to come up with ideas that they wouldn't think of,
Right.
and then can give credit and applaud for them, which is the other part, the other power over. Those people will take credit for everything. It's all theirs. And any mistake they make, they're not going to recognize their own.
They get all the praise. They get all the none
praise.
of the blame.
I mean, they'll give it to themselves at least,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I'd listened to a couple of different podcasts and YouTube, and there's a number of women that were talking about power over and power with women leaders. There was like Brene Brown, Elizabeth Lesser. There's a woman at UCLA. I think her name is, I think it's Shelley Taylor. So way back, and this is like a number of years ago, the whole fight or flight thing was done by, I think, a psychologist, the testing on it, but it was only done on men. And the fight or flight thing is real, but it was only done on men.
Weird.
Right? So the fight or flight thing says, you know, when something aggressive comes towards me, I'm either going to stand my ground and fight it, or I'm going to let him win and take off because I know I'm beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've all seen that in action. And I'm not saying that women don't do fight or flight, but this, I think it's Shelley Taylor. I want to say UCLA, might be USC, but in the early 2000s, and when she was reading and really reading the historical data on all of that, she realized that it was only men. And she was like, is it different for women, right? So she did a whole study on how women react to the same kind of thing. And there's a whole thing with women where in the exact same situation, women are like, befriend or tend.
Befriend or tend.
So we, and everybody that has a mom, everybody that has a sister, a girlfriend will know this. An argument or something is going to start. You can feel the thing peak, right? There's anger in the air. And a woman will try to talk you off that ledge so fast, like bring it down, right?
Yep.
So that's the being a friend, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think the tending thing comes to something terrible has happened, and I'm going to tend to whatever needs to be done, right, to fix that situation. And a perfect example of that I thought of when I heard it was, I think you were a freshman in high school, and there was a family that we knew, and you were good friends with the girl your age, and the mom and dad had combined some RH factor or something that affected their children. I mean, their DNA. And so they'd had, I think, 4 or 5 children, and 2 had passed away at very young ages. And there were 2 that were alive and healthy. They didn't get the gene, whatever it was. And one of the sisters had it, but was like 12, had lived, you know, much longer than the other 2. And your freshman year, the sister died. She passed away. And so we went over to the house, and I will never forget this. We walked in the house, and there were a bunch of your friends there, which I was so happy, boys and girls, right? But all the women were in the kitchen, making food, bringing food, making sure kids were eating. All the men were outside talking to each other with the father. All the women were inside with the mother. And you said to me, like, why do women think food solves everything, right?
True.
But on times like that, that's what we do. And that is exactly what women do. And I know myself, we brought food, we brought a gift, we brought food. We did the exact same thing, you know? And so I do think like men tend to bolster each other up in something like that, you know? But women, we try to reframe the tragedy a little bit to tend to it, if that makes sense. Hopefully what we're really doing in a healthy environment is we're letting that process, we're letting the people that need to go through that process, we're attempting to do it in the best way possible for them, right? But that is a female thing, doing that. And so what Shelley Taylor said was this fight or flight thing, when you add power to it, right? And especially in leadership, can be incredibly divisive if you're not careful with it. I mean, you have to you really have to take the responsibility of your leadership, very, very seriously, right? But that there's room in leadership to befriend or tend, that is actually a good nurturing thing. But one of the things that's happened is if you look back, men have typically been in power and leadership, right? And that's the way they've done it. And probably the first feminist movement tried to mimic men, which is why kind of the feminist movement of my generation didn't work quite as well. And it's probably why, honestly, women were referred to as bitches, and because we dressed in suits like men. Do you mean?
With shoulder pads.
With shoulder pads, exactly. We just tried to be them. And I think what we're seeing now is this beautiful evolution of we don't always have to fight. It is an option in some cases, but we don't always have to fight. We don't always have to run away and give it up either. That there is actually a lovely option for everybody of the befriend and tend in the middle. And so I sort of love that in leadership, because I think when somebody has to be so stoic, so strong, and not show any kind of vulnerability, they become not relatable as a human being, right? Because the rest of us are feeling all these different emotions. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to put my bow on it.
Do it.
Here's what I think. Take inventory of yourself. What do you do and who are you in difficult situations, right? And know that your words count more than you would ever think to the people that report to you, whether you're a manager or a business owner or a CEO. Your words are powerful. Your looks are powerful, meaning the glances you give.
Totally.
And your body language can be read as either encouraging or demeaning. And so consciously decide what it is you want to do. I mean, take inventory of yourself and say, power over. And everybody does that. I mean, it was like when we were talking and I said, like we were talking in the last podcast, I think, and I said, I don't fight very well. I mean, I don't stay in I can't scream it out for a couple hours, right? That's not in me to do that. So what I do, which is, I'm saying this is not healthy, don't follow what I do, but I just burn the temple down really quickly. It would be like if you and I got in a really big argument and I felt like there was no way I could win, then the example that I used is, I'm not going to do the podcast anymore, right? Like I'm just going to burn it to the ground. That is not a good example. I mean, that's where people go when they feel powerless. So I think the whole idea is we all have a little bit of that element in us, of the power over. Let's work on that. Let's get rid of that. It's never going to work for us. It's never going to work for our staff, and it's never going to work for our companies in the end. And the biggest thing to do is to say, hey, I want power with and I want power within, right? I want to share my power. I want to empower my people. God forbid something happened to me. They can carry on. They know what to do. In the best world, I want to go on a vacation. They know how to carry on. They know what to do, but they know they're valued. They're not afraid of me. They're not walking on eggshells, and that they actually together know how to tend and befriend as well, instead of just, exercise power over somebody simply because they can.
Clear, concise.
Got it?
Understandable. I think it's great.
So as a guy, you're a guy.
Yep.
The fight or flight thing, talk to me about that.
Sure. So I'm a fighter. Surprisingly, I completely understand that. I also think the dynamic of male leaders and female leaders is so dramatically different, especially if you're a male underling, because there is testosterone that exists. And so it's very easy to be combative with a male who is seeming to overly exercise their power. At least that's how I take it. Conversely, if there's a female, I'm probably a little more lenient with a strong female personality that's trying to maybe mimic that of a male personality, simply because I know from you that's not a natural instinct. So it's something that they are forcing themselves to go through because that's what their perception of leadership is. That being said, the way I function is give me a couple compliments along the way and then let me go do what I need to do. I don't need to be told what I'm doing wrong consistently. I don't need to be made to feel as though my work is substandard constantly. And I would say that if if you have this many issues with me, then you should probably let me go.
Right.
You already paid into unemployment.
Yeah.
But I think, and this is the shift that we see that's generational, is people my age and younger, there's a perception that we need to be coddled. I don't need to be coddled, but just don't treat me like a pile of garbage along the way, right?
Right.
Mistakes are inherent. We're human beings. We're fallible. Things are going to get missed. A leader knows that. So you need to understand that while you might not know exactly when that thing's going to get missed, and it might come at the most inopportune time, it's always coming.
Right.
The difference is how you handle that, knowing that it's coming. And even if it's a big to-do, the fact of the matter is the show must go on. That mistake doesn't end whatever project you're working on. That mistake doesn't end whatever the business model is. It's a bump in the road. You address it, you move on from it. And if it's habitual, then you let the person go. But I've never understood the notion of yelling just for yelling's sake. That to yell is strictly to appease the individual's internal issues, and in no way has ever helped somebody. Nobody has ever said, I got screamed at in my face, spit on my eyes, was totally demeaned, felt like the most worthless POS in the world, and I showed up to the work the next day feeling great.
Right. I look at everything and I put it in two categories.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's either education. We haven't done a thorough enough job to educate the person, and that's different for everybody. I might take 10 times, you might take 5 times, right? Whatever it is. And then I think the other part of it is performance. I mean, just genuine performance, where you have to say, we have done everything humanly possible to get this person the training they need in an uplifting, good way, but this is not the job for them. Do you mean it's not a match, right?
Yep.
You know, and then whatever the appropriate action is, the appropriate action is. But to just pick at somebody over and over and over again because you can, that's like, I mean, come on.
Never understood it.
Never understood it. I'm with you, Kev.
I never understood it. I never thought it was cool. I never believed it was helpful. Even people who say, like, you know, on the basketball court, I need the coaches to yell at me to get me going. It's like, that's one thing. I mean, that's literal competition. I understand that some people need to be pushed verbally to get themselves going. It's a workplace. You work in a cubicle. I mean, you literally have conversations over the water cooler, and you're talking with Terry from finance about his plans this week. I mean, that is not football, baseball, basketball. There is no place for that. There is decorum.
And the truth is, we all know you have the power.
Of course.
If you're my boss, if you're my manager, it is a given. You don't have to exercise it over me. I mean, totally. I already know it. I knew it when I got hired to work for you, right?
1,000%.
So it's built in.
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, it feels very archaic. Like, I don't know. I don't even understand how there's room for it in modern day culture anymore. Yeah. It's still something that's talked about.
Yeah.
A lot. Sadly.
Yeah.
Deb, I love it. I think that's great. Are we going to have more leadership next week? Let me know.
I'll let you know.
Perfect. Let's get into this. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Deb. This is your favorite game. It's everybody's favorite game. I'm not going to lie to you. We might have covered darn near every single Gen Z or millennial word that exists, because I'm having a hard time finding words that I know you don't already know.
I will tell you, I could do the same thing with you. Like, what does Murgatroyd mean?
You don't even know what Murgatroyd.
I do know what Murgatroyd means.
What does Murgatroyd mean?
I'm not going to tell you because it's going to be my first word when we reverse this
got it.
game.
Okay. Love that for us. So I think I have found words. Maybe you know some, but I think there's others that you definitely don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So we know how this game is played. I'm going to give you the word. I'll give you the part of speech.
Yep.
It is your job to use your internal intelligence to decipher, decode, and then properly use this word that is usually set aside for Gen Zs or millennials.
In a little story.
Use it in a story. Use it in a sentence. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
A bit of a softball for you. Extra.
Extra.
Yep.
My girlfriend, Sherry, and I went out.
Okay.
And I told her we're going to go to a really special place.
Yep.
Okay. So I said, look good. When I went to pick her up, I saw her walking out of her house. She got in the car and I said, ugh, girlfriend, you are extra tonight.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, extra, over the top, unnecessarily kind of dramatic,
There
right?
you go.
My sister is so extra, she wears high heels to school every day.
There you go.
So that
was
absolutely
Sherry. Yep.
applies. That is a good one for one. I just wanted to start you off with a little bit of a softball, get that mojo going.
I appreciate it. You're building my confidence just to tear me down. I know it's coming.
100%. Okay, another one that may be in your wheelhouse. I don't know, but I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. High key.
High key.
High key.
High key. Spell it, please.
Highghkey. Highghkey. High key.
So it's two words like high and key.
Correct. Compound word.
So is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb?
Adjective. High key. Adjective.
Just keep saying that before I start talking.
Not
Okay.
hikey, like Hikey, not hikey. Not what our friends are doing right now. They're not
Right.
going on a hikey.
Hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah. High key.
Yep.
So
Yes.
I was young.
Oh, as we all were.
I was young and I was dating this guy and my mom didn't like him.
Okay.
She thought he was a little bit, like a bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
And in that day, a long time ago, there were no drugs that were legal.
Remember that. The drugs
Days
were not legal.
When drugs were not legal.
Whereas in Oregon now, literally every drug is legal.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Every drug is
They
legal?
decriminalized every single drug in the state of Oregon.
Okay. So my mom was just worried that he was smoking weed and would be a bad influence on me.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
And so I went out with him one night and I came home and she said, listen, you smell like weed. He's a high key. I don't want you going out with him anymore. No?
I said adjective. You made him a noun.
I made him a noun. Oh, he's so, he has the essence of high key. That's still a noun.
Is that like the essence of tea tree oil or something like that?
Tea tree oil, yeah.
High key is obviously, proudly, or openly. So I high key love playing use it in a sentence with you.
Yeah, I would never get that.
Well, Deb, that's the point of this game.
That's ridiculous. And you think that was an easy one?
Well, we had done low key before.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Like
didn't remember that.
low key, this is pretty cool, like on the sly. So high key, I wasn't sure if you were going to remember that.
Yeah, and that's not a good one.
This is
Next.
a fun one.
1 and 1.
One of two. This is a fun one. I'm definitely setting you up to fail here, but I think it's going to be fun.
Okay.
Henlo.
Henlo?
Henlo.
Spell it.
Henlo.
Henlo.
Yeah. And this is a perfect word for Gen Zs and millennials because they've taken it, they've applied it to something else, but now they've used it themselves. Henlo.
Henlo. What is it?
What would it be called without giving it away? Oh, man. I'm going to give you this, which will probably give it away, but then I'm going to need you to be a little more specific on how it would be used, okay?
Okay.
I would say it's a greeting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I love to go to the beach.
Okay.
At the beach with all my friends.
Yep.
But we're waiting for like 3 or 4 people that are kind of key to the group.
Okay.
Right? So we are down on the beach. And of course, they have to come from the road up over the rise. You know how that is.
Of course.
Okay. And so we're all getting our stuff ready. And we hear, Henlo. And we turn back. We go, hey, Henlo. Is that
Hey, hello. So its origin.
Yes.
And if you've seen any dog memes, this will make sense to you. Hello is a dog's way of saying hello, part of a large vocabulary associated with impersonating dogs, where you essentially just jumble around words and make them appear silly. Example, hello, this is doggo.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about. However, I neglected to say that a bunch of those guys in that group are just dogs. And so that would make sense, right? Do I get a point for that?
No, because we're talking about real dogs. Like if a real dog entered the room, like if Izzy and Nola walked in, they'd be like, hello.
You're talking about like the little videos where the owner puts like weird little dog talk on it?
No, it'd be like, what do you think your dog's voice is? And how do you think your dog would physically talk if they had the vocal structure to do it?
Hello, human.
Exactly.
Okay, there, I just used it.
1,000%.
Hello, human. Yeah.
Deb.
Yeah, give it to me.
Tell me, what is a clout chaser? Not a cloud chaser, not somebody who's following tornadoes. A clout chaser.
Okay. I'm at work.
Okay.
Yeah, and I work in a cubicle with a bunch of people my age. We're all like 25.
Got it.
Okay. And, we're a pretty good team. We work well together. We have each other's back. Except for this one person. Mm-hmm. John, he's horrible.
Hate you, John.
And John, oh my God, he is like trying to get his own attention and trying to get the spotlight on him all the time. And the other day we were in the coffee room.
Yep.
And my friend Mary said, John, I'm just sick of him. He's such a clout chaser.
Used properly in that sentence, used mildly incorrectly in regards to what John is chasing. Someone who more or less only cares about followers and likes and wants to become famous. Now, if John's only hope is that the 10-person office follows him on all of his social feeds.
I'm going to go with that.
And that he becomes the most famous person in the office, then John's chasing that clout in that cubicle.
Do you remember that part I said about he likes the spotlight on him?
There you go.
Probably through likes and probably through, comments and things like
He's
that.
a cubicle clout chaser.
He's a cubicle clout chaser. Do I get it?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
This one's going to be a little more difficult for you. The word is bet.
B-E-T?
It is a statement. But it's a slang term now, so don't just think of it in the definition that you know of. This is the hardest one for the day.
Is it like B period E period
nope.
T period? No.
B-E-T.
Bet.
Like the TV channel, but not.
But not. Okay. I called my friend Nicole.
Okay. What's up, girl?
And I said, hey, I was thinking I want to go to this cute little shop that just opened on Saturday. And she's like, I don't know. And I said, well, hey, how about if we go to brunch first? And she goes, bet.
Yo, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
You for real got that?
Yay. No, I
Did
guessed.
you know that word?
No, I didn't know it. I totally guessed.
It's an in response to a statement. So it's slang for like for sure, which is like, hey, are you all set? Bet. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
I am.
Good job, Deb.
Floored.
Yeah. Got it.
Floored.
Got it. Yay. I'm getting better.
PEDs. I need an independent commission to come in and check this tape. I
did not know. All I did
Have you been watching a lot of Twitch streams lately?
I have not. When you said it was not B period, E period, I was like, you bet. Do you know what I mean? That's what
Great call.
Went to my head. Yep. And then I took the U off of it because that would have been me.
I'm floored.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely floored. Good for
Good
you.
job.
Thank
you, Nicole, for all the help from Nicole as well.
That is like decidedly a Gen Z term.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know that it has many roots in the millennial world.
Do you use it at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because you know how when you can see a word and you're like, there's no way I can say this and come across as authentic.
Right.
That's one of those. Like, because I would just say, okay.
Or you bet.
Sure. Gotcha, buddy.
So give me an example. Would somebody like your friend Aria say it?
Nope.
Oh, no, she's too old?
I've literally, so I watch a couple streamers on Twitch and they're like 23 and younger.
Oh, okay.
And I hear them say it, but it's also part of this kind of genre of game that they play, that they all use it because for whatever reason. So it's ubiquitous in that corner of the world. I've never heard somebody actually say it in the real world outside of what we all just heard.
Yay.
Deb, phenomenal
very
gameplay
proud of
today.
myself. Thank you.
I don't know that we can continue to play use it in a sentence in its current form because I am just like traversing the interwebs to find these words, and I know you know half of them, and now I know you know the other half of them at the point that you're using bet correctly in a sentence.
Sus. I never got sus.
Sus
is the great one
sus
that I never got.
Sus will be in the Hall of Fame of responses.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Deb, great job on using it in a sentence.
Thank you.
I could argue it's the best play that you've had so far. So to follow that up, we usually play what's the best thing we saw on the internet this week.
Right.
The internet was a forest fire of memes, and the world, if not the country, took aim at our lovely silver state of Nevada.
Yes.
It started with this tweet, and let me just read this tweet. And if you haven't, if you don't know, if you've
been living in a hole,
if you just woke up from your coma and you're like, hey, what's the world's greatest podcast? What even is a podcast? Let me listen to it. And this is the first episode you've ever heard, and you haven't been on the internet before. At some point, everybody was waiting on the state of Nevada to count their votes because some people had given Arizona to Biden, which put him at 250 or 264 electoral college votes. Nevada has 6 electoral college votes. Nevada has gone blue the last 3 presidential elections. So had Nevada come out and said Nevada is for Biden, he would have been given the 270. So literally everybody for 3 days was waiting on Nevada to call the election. Spoiler alert, they never did until Pennsylvania did.
Well, and keep in mind that our state is huge geographically. Massive. We just actually don't have very many votes to count, which made it also crazy, right?
Totally. Pennsylvania was counting 2.2 million votes, and I think we had 300,000, and they finished before we did.
Exactly.
So the tweet that I think started this firestorm was by this girl from Las Vegas, and she said, y'all rushing the F out of Nevada. Girl, we 50th in education. Give us a second. We can't read. Okay? So for this edition of the best thing we saw on the internet, you've picked 3 memes that you're going to describe and then say what's on them. I will also pick my 3 memes that I thought were great. We will post them on our Instagram and Facebook page for you guys to see them. But there was so many to choose from, and they were all hilarious that we could have tried to give you 10 each, and we could have successfully done that, but we whittled it down to 3. So, Deborah, by all means.
So there are so many.
So many.
I mean, and I will say I went back and kind of picked the ones from the beginning.
Yep.
Because they did get funnier and funnier, but
totally.
The beginning ones just, shook you to your core. I want to say, because a couple friends sent them to me with an apology. No apology needed.
Never apologize for making fun of the state.
Hysterical. So one of my first ones that I loved, it was posted by overheard_election, and it says, America. They said they can't seat us until the whole party is here. Are you on your way? And then it said Nevada. And the picture is of a rather obese fellow.
Okay.
Unshaven, still in bed, a comforter over him with his scraggly hair hanging down. So that was my first one I loved.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you going to give me all 3? Yeah, I love it. Keep going.
My second one, and this was not, I'm just slipping this one in because it was easy. Nothing says 2020 like the fate of the nation resting in the hands of Reno, Nevada.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's a good one. And then the other, there's 2. Okay, there's 2 others, and they're quasi videos, and I'll just describe them. I don't know who the singer is, but you know the number 1. Do you know what I mean? That's
1 is the loneliest number.
No, it's not that. But it's a super.
Just go ahead and sing that whole song for us so we understand.
I can't. But it says Nevada County ballots, and then he sings, and it's this very slow, jazzy.
Oh, it's 1. You're like a dream come true.
Exactly.
Oh, what is his name? I'll think of that.
I can't think of his name.
He's a really cool R&B smooth.
Yeah, very, very
singer,
smooth.
yeah.
Very cool. And then the last one, and this was sent to me from Mexico. Thank you, Mexico. And it's a little league game, and I mean like little kids, right? And there's a kid at home base.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see.
Brian McKnight.
Oh, Brian McKnight. There you go. How could we forget him? Anyways, in this one, there's a little...
I know the video. Do you want me to describe it for you?
Yeah, describe it. Thank you.
So it's a Little League game. There's a little boy with a bat that's twice as big as him at home plate.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a little boy wearing the same outfit, so they're teammates, who's coming down third base.
Yep.
But he's coming down the third baseline in slow motion. He himself has put himself in slow motion. So the boy at home base with his bat in his hand has America over it. The boy who's literally in slow motion, putting himself in slow motion, has Nevada over it. And then the coach comes out to kind of usher him along, and that says the rest of the country.
Right.
And trying to push him forward a little bit.
Forward.
And the Nevada just shrugs him aside, says, "Don't touch me," and then just keeps going in slow motion. Yeah.
I loved that one. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And then wait, my last one was...
That's 4.
Okay, you go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, go ahead.
The first one that I think was the most applicable meme was from Flash the Sloth from the movie Zootopia.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And it said, "This the MF for the counting the Nevada votes," which is, of course, hilarious. Yeah. The one that made me die laughing is a real common meme that's happening right now is Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained. And he's kind of got that goofy smile, except it's him holding a calculator upside down that spells boobies. And it's like, this is what it looks like in a Nevada, registrar or something like that. And if you were alive in the 90s and had a calculator and you didn't hold your calculator upside down to spell boobies, what were you doing in school? Right? And then the other one is, it says, "All right, states, how many votes did we count today? Pennsylvania, 1.2 million. Georgia, 900,000. Nevada," and it's a picture of Tom Brady looking into the camera, somewhat worried, just holding up the number 4 with his fingers. Brilliant. I loved it. I mean, there's a piece of me that is so sad that we're not going to get these memes anymore because they were spot on and hilarious.
So clever. So clever. I mean, I want to say on day 3 and 4, they're what got me through.
Totally.
They are totally, I mean, like, it was like, I just went like, okay, this is going to take forever. Yep. And they're what got me through.
1,000%. So to all of the people who made fun of our dear state, thank you for doing that. We not only deserved it, we appreciated it.
We did. But somebody just posted something the other day that said, Nevada is something like 89% counted, and Alaska is only 50% counted. Like, why aren't we giving Alaska a hard time?
Because they have like 2 votes.
Yeah, and it's not as fun.
Yeah. It's way more fun to make fun of the state that has legalized prostitution.
I agree.
Deb, lot to talk about potentially for your thankfuls this week, but what are you thankful for this week?
So this has been, people are going to say we're crazy.
Yeah.
We had 2 little groups of people that flew in from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And, we got to see some new faces that we recognized.
Totally.
And I'm telling you, until I laid eyes on them, I had no idea how hungry I was for new faces.
Totally.
I mean, I knew I kind of was, but then when I saw them, and it's just been such a delicious week sharing time with them.
At dinner with them on Friday, I was saying, I don't miss doing things. I miss being around people. And though I love and adore my family and I love and adore my friends, I have spent every waking moment with those same 14 people. So to have you here telling new stories and me being able to tell my same old boring stories to you, but they're new to you, is just like the freshest breath of fresh air ever. It is so nice to see familiar faces, but who are new after this whole shutdown.
And 2 of them are really good storytellers.
Great.
So it's like you tell a story and then they've got one to beat you. Do you mean it's just great? So it's wonderful. Yeah. And I think they've really enjoyed, I want to say this on behalf of Nevada. I mean, at least they're acting like at every turn. I mean, it's just breathtaking to them. They seem to just love it. So I'm happy about that and grateful.
You know what I'm thankful for?
What?
And this is I know what you think I'm going to say. I'm going that total opposite direction.
Okay, go.
There is snow on the ground.
Yeah.
There are no lawnmowers coming tomorrow morning.
There are no lawnmowers.
You do not hear them.
I don't know how I don't hear them.
They come every Monday morning at 7 a.m.
Yeah, we're the first ones.
On the nose.
Yeah.
Now, most of you are up and you're probably looking at me being like, Kevin, 7 a.m., give me a break, dude.
Get your butt up.
Guess what? I'm not awake. Guess what? I do the majority of work from my bed, unshowered with my shirt off, okay? So when that is my wake-up call, it is brutal. And I sleep with earplugs in.
So I must kind of hear them.
You would have a visceral reaction like I did if you did.
Here's what I think I hear. I think I'm dead to the mowing if I'm asleep. I think I do hear the blowers.
How can you not?
The blowers are so loud, right? And my bedroom, like your bedroom, is on both. I mean, you have the front of the house and the back of the house, you know. Your bedroom is at the other end of the house, so you wouldn't hear too much on the front. Well, no, they do blow.
Yeah,
they blow
Deb,
the driveway.
I hear all of it.
Yeah, they blow the driveway.
So the idea that even though I'm not a snow fan, I mean, typically what I do on days that it snows is I'll get up in the morning before I shower, I'll put on my boots, I'll put on a jacket and pants, and I'll go shovel. We have no snow in the forecast for the remainder of the week, so I think I'm just going to wait this out. I didn't really feel the need to shovel.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the snow being here is it will melt off the cement, it'll melt off the driveway and the sidewalks. It's not necessarily going to melt off of the grass anytime soon. Yeah. So I get a reprieve from the just imagine that for 30 minutes in the morning on a Monday of all things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
it's a thing for sure.
And I'm happy the election's over. Okay. That was the only other one.
Yeah.
Perfect. Deb, as we wrap this up on this cold, frigid yet blue sky day, what's going to be for Din Din?
I think I've got a butternut squash in there. I think we're going to make some butternut squash soup.
Oh, we used to serve that in the restaurant.
We do. It's a little bit, a little spice, a little savory, a little sweet. I mean, it's nice.
It is. I always think of soup as being something you consume when you're sick. Mm-hmm. This is the butternut squash recipe that we use. Just feels like a very wholesome soup.
Yeah.
And we usually put some elements on it to give it a little texture, so it's not just, soup can get monotonous.
We puree it. Right. So we usually put some things on top to provide some texture, some swirl or whatever.
Bonus question. Yeah. Can you name the 5 soups that we homemade back at Emerald City?
Well, we made all of our soups homemade.
But there was 5 that we made, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They were the only 5 that we did. I know all 5 of them.
Well, then you better go.
No. I know all 5 of them.
Okay. Butternut squash soup was one of
them. Correct. I'm not going to ask you to say the days that we served them.
No,
I don't remember that. Oh, no. She only has 1.
Basil tomato.
Boom. 2.
We made good basil tomato.
Made great basil tomato.
How about wasn't there Asian?
Nope.
There
was a chicken salad you're thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin, how can I forget these?
One is super simple. Think of 2 elements that were like in literally every dish we made. Chicken and rice.
Oh, chicken and wild rice.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really good. I don't know, Kev. I've lost them. I've dumped that era from my brain.
Cheddar broccoli.
Oh, we made great cheddar. I made that the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more. Come on. I cannot believe you don't remember these.
I can't believe some of the stuff you do remember.
People cleaned us out of this stuff.
Cheddar broccoli. Is it an unusual one?
Kind of.
You're not thinking of, remember the one that Alyssa loved? It was like
It's not niche at all.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know. I can't think of it.
Baked potato.
Oh, baked potato. Yeah, baked potato was really good.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, this is going to be a terrible description, but it was like if you somewhat made mashed potatoes a little more liquid, but then you put every conceivable topping of a baked potato on it, the cheese, the bacon, the chives, the sour cream.
It was there.
I think we were done with that within the hour of lunchtime.
People would come in and, obviously you sell cups of soup to go. People eat soup with a sandwich or salad. But most of those soups, people would call and say, what's the soup today?
Yep.
I mean, that's what would happen. What's the soup today? And then they would say, could you set a quart or 2 aside for me? And I just had visions of it going home into their freezer. Do you mean like so? But we do make good soup. We make flavorful soup.
Sad that I care more about that restaurant.
I know. That is so weird. I really couldn't pull those out. Yeah.
You said butternut squash, and I immediately thought of all of them. And yeah, they were really good. Okay. Well, I first want to say that we did not get a phone call at any point during this.
I'm looking at my phone right now.
As far as we know,
nothing has happened.
Our friends are either very alive,
or
very dead. So we'll let you know, I guess, maybe. Yeah. If you don't hear from us, just assume they're alive.
Yeah.
If you want to see all the memes that we talked about, follow us on our social channels at Deb and Kev Pod. If you want to literally just see us, follow us on our YouTube page at Kev and Deb Pod.
For those 3 people that do watch the YouTube channel, thank you. We really want to thank you.
For the first time, I'm actually wearing a sweatshirt because it's Chilibergs.
But you do have shorts on.
Yeah, that's true.
Still has shorts on.
I don't think there's been a single podcast that we've done. And we've done 26. This will be our 26th podcast, by the way. I've never not worn shorts.
Yeah, I've switched to sweaters now.
Smart.
I mean, yeah.
That's going to do it for us this week, guys. We will see you on Thursday, Mom. I love you so much.
I love you, baby.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.